It's November 16th, 2021. This is the Westchester Holistic Network. I'm Pamela Cuccinell, one of the co-coordinators, and Kathy Lipsky is the other one. And we begin our meetings usually with should we just have a little guided meditation, Kathy? Are you up for that?
Sure.
Okay. Do a guided meditation.
I could use it myself, actually.
Guided medication, my guided meditation with Kathy. Here we go.
All right, so let's begin by bringing our eyes closed. And bring your awareness to your breath. You don't need to change your breath in any way. Simply allow that breath to come in and leave your body at its own pace. And begin to notice the things around you, like the temperature of the air, or perhaps the sounds outside of your space, and perhaps even within your space. Simply notice them. And now notice where your shoulders are. Can you drop your shoulders down a little bit more and relax them a little bit more? And coming back to the breath, letting that breath breathe you. And if thoughts are coming and going throughout your head, just let it happen. Let that go. And breathe. Breathing in and breathing out. And think about all the positive things that have occurred today. Even if it's one thing that you can think of that might bring a smile to your face or bring a sensation of joy. Breathe that in. And why don't we simply finish this with breathing in all possibilities of good things happening. Breathe it in. And take a few moments to notice how your body is feeling right now. Letting go of the day and anticipating what the evening will bring. So breathe. And now let your eyes slowly flutter open and look at all these beautiful faces in front of you that immediately makes you want to lift the corners of your mouth upward. Oh, look who's here, everybody.
That was lovely. Thank you, Kathy. So then usually at this point in time, we have a little astrological update on what's going on ahead of us for the next period of time until we get into next meeting. And the thing that I'm probably really focused on as I look forward is the piece about we're entering the last eclipse season of the year. And the thing about these eclipses, the first one happens November 19th Eastern Time at 3:57 a.m. And the full moon is in the sign of Taurus at 27 degrees and 14 minutes. And it's actually a well aspected moon, which means that as it travels through the sky, it's making some auspicious pictures. But the piece that we really want to pay attention to is that this lunar eclipse last happened in 2002 at the same basic degree, 27 Taurus. And the one that follows it on December 4th, I believe it's December 3rd. And that happens at specifically, it is the 4th. Sorry if I'm talking Eastern time. I always get confused where I am on the planet. So that's 2:43 a.m. on the 4th. And this eclipse series last happened in 2002. And the one that happens in December is at 12 Sagittarius. Now, the astrologers are going to talk in December again about the forecast for 2022. And as you know, those who've been watching us for a while, we've been talking a bit, or any astrologer you look at on the net, about the Pluto return for the United States, which happens in 2022. Pluto in the United States chart is at 27 degrees Capricorn. The eclipse that happens Friday is at 27 degrees Taurus, both in Earth signs. So that's a vibratory energy of the degree that happened, as I said, in 2002. The 12 Sagittarius point that happens December 4th is the rising sign of the United States, July 4th horoscope. Now, 2002 was the build-up conversation that led us into the Iraq War, et cetera, and lots of other things. So what we really want to do at this point in time is use these eclipses, which I believe are potentially auspicious and joyous, and think in terms of transforming power in another dialogue that then it has been perceived as being power for the country of the United States. Once the country of the United States decides to go through an alchemical change of how it perceives power, we'd be in a much different world because it's such a big country with so many people in it. So that's what I invite us to reflect on and consider with all this dynamic energy that's in front of us right now, and all the buzz that is very explosive. You can take an explosion and you can use it for transformation or destruction. And actually, you need a little of both in order to burn off anything we can't use anymore. So for each of us personally, these eclipses offer a window of revelation. So be alert as to what's happening for you personally as we go into Thursday, Friday, and then in early December, especially if when you reflect on what was going on for you the end of autumn, early winter 2002, if there's some sort of echo happening for you now, because eclipses, Susan Miller, wonderful astrologer, refers to them as like a string of pearls. So it's whatever happened before it gives us an indication of what's coming after it. And they all basically work together if we're paying attention we can make them even more powerful than if we're letting ourselves be swept into the noise. So we're not getting swept into the noise. We're focused, meditative, and reflective. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Janice Solomon, and I'll let you just take us into the world of homeopathy and health.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm just curious, show of hands. Some of you, I think some of you have heard me speak because I have given talks before when we were at the wonderful center, but who's heard or knows or experienced anything with homeopathy? I'm just curious, a little hand. Okay, so like half of you, cool, or a third of you. So interesting, 2002 was the year that I started homeopathy school in a school. I actually had been studying already a few years. At that point, it was a correspondence school because we didn't have everything online yet. So when I was listening to your Inside Oasis, you know, the other presentation you do with Susie, and I was like, 2002, wow, that's when I started homeopathy school, and then I'm getting an opportunity to share with you tonight homeopathy. So I thought that's very curious. So let's jump in. You have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'm not going to look at them initially, but we'll have time to definitely look at answer questions. And let me just get this open 1 second. Okay, so you can see my PowerPoint, everybody? Yeah? Okay, cool. I'm just going to drop these down out of my way. Put you guys down there. Okay, so actually I found this picture, which was the last time I spoke for the whole, right? I think Kathy, you took the picture. I was giving a talk about homeopathy and I was like, oh, that's fun. So I put that up just to share with you. So tonight I'm calling it the homeopathy primer because we're just going to kind of cover basic concepts and then I'll get into some details because I did say I would share with you some things about remedies to have and stuff like that. Okay, so why is my screen not moving forward? Great, so now I have this up, but it won't work. So sorry, give me 1 second. Let's see what's happening here. Let me try one more time and see if my thing will work. So I was having a problem getting this to work before, and it is not working like this. So I'm going to go back to the other share. Sorry about this. And let's make sure this one works. So I know you're seeing my notes on the side. I apologize, but this is the only way. It is not working. This is so curious. I am not getting my, okay. I'm gonna just have to do this manually. For some reason it's getting stuck. And sorry that you're seeing my notes. I can't get it to open up onto the full screen and work today. So the food for thought question is, what is health? And some things that popped in my head are, is health absence of disease? Is health just not having discomfort? Is it a sense of well-being? Is it how can you adapt and flow? Is it a sense of knowing yourself? And there's many other possibilities of what health is, but I just want to open up this like kind of tendrils of thought as we go through what I'm talking about to keep you kind of thinking about, well, what is health? What is health? So first I'm going to tell you what homeopathy isn't, because often it's confused with herbal or plant medicine, and those are actually some echinacea flowers from my garden. Echinacea is a very common herbal remedy that many people know of. It's also, homeopathy is not naturopathic medicine, which is often using supplements along with other natural modalities. Some naturopaths do also incorporate homeopathy. And homeopathy in and of itself is not nutrition or nutritional counseling. These are common questions I get asked all the time. So sometimes it's just good to say, now, all of these things are important in our health and wellness, but I just want to be clear tonight, what is homeopathy? Okay. So if we think about this word homeopathy, and we think about the spectrum of healthcare that's available to us, on one end, we're going to have homeopathy. On the other end, we're going to have what's called allopathy or allopathic medicine. These terms were actually coined by Samuel Hahnemann, who founded homeopathy. Homeopathy meaning similar, allo meaning opposite. So if you're sick with the flu, as my little picture shows, and you're not feeling well, you might take things like antibiotics. Or if you're feeling very depressed, you might use an antidepressant, right? That's the opposite. Whereas in homeopathy, we're going to look at it a little differently. So this idea of similar versus opposite, just to give you some conceptual ideas of the spectrum that we're used to thinking of. So if we break apart this word homeopathy into its components, homeo from the Greek meaning similar, and pathy like pathos or pathology, symptoms. So what we're doing with homeopathy is we're looking at what's similar to your symptoms, as opposed to what I just pointed out, the opposite. If you have a bacterial infection, then we're going to do the opposite to get rid of it, the antibiotic. So what actually is homeopathy? It's a system of medicine that was developed by a German doctor back in the 1700s, late 1700s, early 1800s, Samuel Hahnemann. And it has these 4 basic concepts, principles, and I'm going to talk more about each one as I go through. The idea of like cures like, the idea of the law of similars. If something can create symptoms, it can also help cure them or resolve them. Each person's an individual, looking at each person as this is unique to you. It's a holistic perspective, mind, body, and spirit, all connected. Probably one of the first well-established holistic practices, and certainly in the Western world. And it's using a small, or the word nanos more is familiar to a lot of people, a nano amount, an energetic amount to enhance our healing. So it's the concept of less is more. Now, this all might be familiar, it might not, but I'm going to keep talking about it. You'll get it, and you'll know what it means as we keep going forward. I think it's important to identify that we're both energetic as well as material beings. Energetic meaning this is our 3D body, our physical sensational body. And energetic meaning, if you can go back, if anybody remembers learning cellular biology or anything like that from, earlier, maybe junior high or, high school was when I learned it. There's these little parts in the cell, this thing called the mitochondria, and it's pumping out these little packets called ATP. That's energy. That's literally the energy that our body makes. So in our experience of everyday life, we're both an energetic being and a physical being, and they're interacted, they work together. Homeopathy is actually a type of energetic medicine. So this energy that I'm referring to as a homeopath, we call it the life force or the vital force. And I want you just to realize that you're sensing energy all the time. Like I wrote here, you can feel something in your gut, right? You have like something happens, maybe you're sensitive to certain things, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel that. I feel like, right? You're experiencing energy. We're interacting with energy all the time with these computers. We're constantly in a field of electromagnetic radiation type of energy. The food we eat, it fuels us. Sometimes it gives us a slower moving energy because we're feeling more fatigued. But sometimes we eat something like caffeine or a sugary product and it gives us a fast feeling energy, okay? So in this moment of time right now, how is your energy? And I want you to just take a moment and close your eyes just for a second here and just sort of tune in, like think about some of the things that Kathy said before and get a sense right now, how does your energy feel? Are you feeling kind of perhaps depleted? It's the end of the day. Someone said they weren't feeling well. I know earlier when we were at the beginning of our meeting up, Yeah, how is your energy right now? And then I want you to just, if you can, if it works out where you are, if you could just stand up for a moment. Let's stop the share for a second. I'd like you to stand up for a moment and just kind of move around a little bit. All right? Just move your body. I was going to put on music, but considering I was having challenge sharing my screen fully. So just shake yourself a little bit. Shake your hands. Yep. And maybe shake one foot, shake your other foot. Good. Maybe swing your hips a little bit, side to side. You can't see my hips. I'm going side to side, front to back. Yep. Just sort of shake yourself, move around a little bit. Might feel good if you, especially if you've been sitting and looking at the screen now for a little while. Maybe take a big breath, right? Arms up. I love that. I'm become infamous for always playing music and everybody dancing, but tonight we're just going to do it this way. Okay, come sit down again. Good. And now one more time, just let your eyes close. And see if you can observe what's happening now with yourself. Do you maybe feel your heart beating a little faster? Maybe you notice your breath is moving a little quicker. You can even maybe tune into some of the more subtle senses. Maybe you feel a little almost like buzzing or warmth maybe in your hands or your body. That's an experience of energy. That's energy in your system. Cool. So just wanted to give you an actual, I'm just going back to the share, an actual experience of that. Okay. So in our daily life, how is your energy? Because this is going to be very important when you're thinking about what is your health and what something like homeopathy can do to help you, right? How has it gotten stuck? Are you feeling the energy of this virus, right? Or perhaps someone mentioned getting a booster, feeling the energy, what your response to the booster, right? Something changes in yourself. Wow, this is so interesting that okay. So this energy, our vital force, it's constantly flowing through us. It's constantly working. And as a homeopath, I'm very curious always to know, what is this vital force? How is it communicating with us? Because the vital force is kind of like a song playing loud and clear. But sometimes there's interference. It's like if you have two stations on the same time on the radio, as an example. So the song that you want to hear is your song, but the song that's cutting in, right, or getting louder is like the other song. That's your symptoms. The vital force is telling us or informing us about our health through our symptoms. So symptoms are not actually a sign of disease. Symptoms are a sign that your vital force is trying to give you some help in moving through whatever might be stuck or problematic. So those symptoms, those songs, everything that's going on is actually your health. So it's kind of, interesting. So what song plays the loudest for you? Is it your song, or is it the other song, which is all the things that you notice that perhaps are uncomfortable or bothersome or getting in the way? So this vital force is like the core of us. Yeah. And it's the deepest part of who you are. It runs underneath all of our physical symptoms, our immune system, our respiratory system, our digestive system. It's the foundational level, because in the depth of who we are as we're functioning is this energetic self. And your health emanates from this core. So we can call it the vital force. Some people call it chi, prana, energy, whatever word you like is fine. But this is what we're going to be connecting to as we go further and look into what homeopathy is. And all aspects of ourself, our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic, is all a reflection and all connected to this core piece of you, this vital force. So as we're talking about energy, energy is, when I say nano, it means that it's something not that we can see with the naked eye, right? This is the energy that holds electrons in their orbits, if you remember that stuff. So everything's made up of energy. Some energy moves slowly, so we see it as like a solid thing, right? Moving slowly, so it appears as if there's no movement. And then as energy moves quicker, then we're looking at the changes in states to liquids, and then very quickly would be gas, because you can't really see it, but it's moving quicker. Sound waves, things like this. Everyone okay so far with how I'm moving around? Okay, moving through this. So the amazing part of working with energy, and in this case homeopathy, is that if you introduce this small amount of energy to your system, something that's very on this level of energy, and you introduce it into your being, it will ripple out to all aspects of you. Because as much as we know the head and toe and everything else are all connected, all the aspects of us are connected too. So if you touch one part of your vital force, you're actually going to be able to ripple out to all parts. And if you're taking care and shifting your energy, your vital force, that ripple effect, because we're all energetic, actually goes out to everybody as well. It's been said that I think it's if 4% of the world were working homeopathically on their health, it would shift the entire energy of the planet, all humanity. So it's important to understand how energy moves, because it has its own pace and frequency, and that's that kind of wave. Like this is a picture of a sound wave. Little fact, I don't know if you know this, but when you turn into a radio station, you like Z100 or something, 100 is actually the number of what's called the hertz, the pattern of that sound wave. So we each have our own frequency, our own particular pattern of how our energy moves. That's why it's all unique. That's why homeopaths look at each person individually. The source of healing energy that we can use in homeopathy, but not only homeopathy, can come from really anything that exists here: plants, minerals, animals. We actually can get energy from things like our electromagnetic radiation from the sun, from the moon. Everything has energy. And the potential is that this energy can be used to help and heal. So homeopathic remedies can be made from any of these sources. And what happens in homeopathy is that if we know that something is made, we know that something has energy in it, we know that we have our own energetic pattern. If we can bring some energy into us that can kind of be similar to our pattern, we can actually enforce it or enhance it. So if we have that song that's playing, that's me, and then I have this other wild, crazy song that's giving me my other symptoms, let's say headaches or allergies or depression or something like that. But if I try and enhance this wave with something that's similar, this will start to grow bigger and this will start to get smaller. So what we're doing in homeopathy is we're matching the energy of what's happening for you and what your innate pattern is with something from nature that has a similar energetic pattern. And when we bring that in, we're enhancing what our vital force, what our energy is trying to do to create a sense of balance and health again. So let's just take a pause here. I'm just stop the PowerPoint for a moment because there's a lot of information. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going quick. And I want you to just take a moment and look around where you are in your home and notice what things might be from the plant kingdom, what things might be from minerals. So that could be, you know, rocks. These computers are all made of minerals. Maybe you have a pet, that would be an animal, right? And the truth is there's going to be things from the animal kingdom, whether we can see them or not, because there might be little things, little bugs and things around that you might not be necessarily seeing. So just sort of look, kind of observe, what is it that you're interacting with all the time energetically? You know, just kind of look around your space, right? Other human beings, right? Human beings do fall into the category of the animal world. So you're interacting with energy all the time. And it's also interesting to see what it is that you actually are drawn to in your home that could speak a bit about your individual energy. All right, going back to the share here. Okay. So in homeopathy, what we're doing is we're learning to find out through dialogue, what is the frequency of you, the individual? And I'm learning that as a homeopath or any homeopath is by hearing what are your strengths, what are your capacities, what's your personality like, what are you drawn to, how do you deal with things? This is all reflection of your individual energy. And there's patterns that get it set and kind of established from young age of how we are. The symptoms, like I said, that we experience, whether they're physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, spiritual symptoms, are the vital force communicating with us to try and give us a sense of rebalancing. It might need a little guidance or help or support. So you could be having something that's acute or new, like perhaps getting COVID or response to an injection, that was mentioned before. But you can also have symptoms that are long-lived or chronic, meaning they've been with you for so long, they just feel like a part of who you are. I just gave a few examples here. So weird how this thing will and will not move. Okay. So as a homeopath, I understand that each of us has a unique experience because it's a reflection of your unique energy, your unique frequency. So I'm going to look, any homeopath is looking at you individually. So even though everyone might have something in common, perhaps getting COVID as an example, we're each going to have slightly different ways that it's affecting us. Or maybe as the seasons change or something else. Everyone kind of experiences the same kind of concept, but individually. So that's very important because what you're experiencing uniquely is how a remedy will be chosen for you or suggested for you. So let's look at this idea. What's a headache like for you? Where, if you get headaches, I'm assuming pretty much everyone's had a headache at least once in their life. Where do you feel the pain? Just think about this. What does it feel like? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it squeezing? Is it poking? Is it on one side? Is it on the other side? And if you have a headache, or you can make this other things, you can make this a toothache or something like that. How does it affect you? Does it make you feel cranky? Does it make you want to be by yourself? Do you want people to take care of you? Do you want to distract yourself? Do you want to sit and kind of meditate on it? Like each one of us experiences our symptoms in a different way. So although everyone's got a headache or toothache or whatever, you're having an individual experience. This is a huge part of what it means to be in homeopathic care. So instead of just everybody takes the same thing, Tylenol or whatever, you look and say, oh, you have a headache. This is more individual, what you will need, this remedy. So in homeopathy, we're supporting your energy to come back to its full charge. We're helping that vital force do what it's trying to do. And we're using the remedies in restoring or enhancing that vital force. And we might need to do something what I call constitutional or chronic for something that's been there for a long time, or something more local or acute, like perhaps something what's happening right now, perhaps a response to an injection or COVID or seasonal allergies or something like this. And another thing that I do in my work is what I call personality mapping, which is that you kind of come to understand that given how you experiencing it, kind of understand your personality and how it works with you and what your strengths are. And we work a lot about this together in care. So you really get to know yourself very well. Not only get rid of discomforts, not that that is of course important. So when you speak in a consultation, you're kind of like having all these experiences once. Sometimes you feel like you're talking to your internist or whoever your primary care person is, because you're relaying all your physical symptoms. Then you might feel like you're talking to your therapist because you're telling your emotional feelings and how things are affecting you. There might be some sense of counseling, like, oh, this feels like this would be helpful to do it this way or that way. Sometimes there's the sense of like it's a private investigator. It's the sense I get. Like I try and get back, did this all begin? When did this start? We're kind of like an investigator. And in that consultation, in that point we're talking together, it's very confidential. It's safe. You're able to really share all these parts of yourself. It's not like, oh, I can only tell the physical here, and I go to the therapist and I talk about the emotional there. No, we get to bring it all together. So it becomes a journey of healing. I kind of feel like I'm just walking along with you. So homeopathy is so accessible and useful. I wanted to just give you a few things that you could possibly have on hand. And so this, if you don't want to get the whole PowerPoint, if you want to just take a screenshot of this, you could do that or take out your camera. So the first list is just a bunch of basic remedies that I think are good to have at home to help with the most common kind of first aid things. I think Kathy said she was sharing some of this at another meeting. Arnica for bruising, aconite could be for very sudden, like shocking things or something that happens very suddenly, drop something on your foot and you're like, ah, that's sudden intense pain. Ledum could be for anything that punctures skin, including getting an injection, but it could also be from a bug bite. And they go on, and these are things that we can discuss more and you can learn more. I'm not going to go through every single remedy, but this is a nice quick list. And then another quick list of remedies that could be very helpful, especially for, so coronavirus is now endemic in our lives. It's something to understand. So pandemic means that it moved throughout the entire globe and affected, but now that it's been in our experience for over a year and a half, probably longer, it's now part of our world. That's what's called endemic, like many other diseases. And so these particular remedies are not only helpful for this particular virus, but viruses and illnesses in general. But this group, the arsenicum, the bryonia, the phosphorus, gelsemium, pulsatilla, mercurius, and calicarb, these few remedies, if you do either get COVID itself, or if you get an injection, have a lot of these flu-like symptoms, any of these possibly could be helpful. These are the most common remedies that I've been using, and I've treated over 100 people. No one's been hospitalized. I have almost nobody with any long-term issues, so it's extraordinarily helpful. When you go to buy a remedy, there's a little number after it. Here's a little tube to show you. Oh wait, there's a camera there. Let me get the number. See the number? Here. The number talks about the potency or the frequency of that energy. In health food stores, you're often going to see like a 30C or Whole Foods or. So if you want to have a good amount of homeopathic remedies at home for you, you could also get a kit. And this is a link to A to Z Homeopathy. It's a company in Santa Fe that sells great kits. Has 80 remedies in it. I would actually suggest you get the higher potency because it's harder to find those, and they're often very helpful in a lot of acute illnesses and things like that. So just to describe one remedy a little bit, arnica, because so many of us have heard of arnica. It's a great first aid remedy. You can use it the night before if you're having some kind of surgery or procedure or dental work. It's a great thing to help with this type of situation. The potency that you're going to use, whether it's that lower number or high number, is going to depend on what happens. We match the remedies, the energy of the remedy, what its source is, as well as the potency, the frequency of it to what the experience is. This is all this unique, very individual care. Often this is helpful if there's stretching, pulling, trauma to muscles. So you might have an injury or bump and get a bruise or something like that. Soreness for bruising, swelling. So it can be used like post-injection as an example. Could be if you sprain your muscle. And interesting, you want to also have, because this is a holistic approach, you want to have that emotional piece of it. Often people needing arnica, even though they're really, like, you can see they're limping, they're struggling, they're in pain, whatever, they're like, I'm fine, no problem. It's a very interesting emotional state, and every remedy has an emotional, physical piece to it. You want to have all of that together to get the right match. Remember, the unique match for the unique experience. So I do homeopathy for what I call rapid recovery, to help people get through these type of whatever procedures, surgeries. I've worked with people with replacement hip, knee, things like this, a lot of dental work, huge amounts of dental work. I work with people. And then I also have been doing COVID care, obviously, since the beginning of pandemic, and seeing how just phenomenally helpful. I had a client who was suffering with lupus before they got COVID, had a very, very serious case of COVID. She literally said to me several times and wrote me, I just didn't put the testimony up. She said, my lungs were in such bad shape before I even got COVID. But after all the homeopathic care, she had a scan done. She said, actually, my lungs are healthier now than they were before, even before, from her original lupus. It's tremendously powerful because we match the remedies to what she was experiencing. So if you're having any issues in your life and you're just like, I don't know if homeopathy is for me, or herbal medicine, or hands-on healing, or, abdominal massage, or whatever it is that you might be, or, astrological, help, whatever it is. But if you keep doing the same thing you're doing all the time, remember Einstein told us that is the definition of insanity. So it's interesting what you said at the beginning, Pamela, about this idea of transformation, right? Because we're being given an opportunity to do things differently now. And my feeling is take advantage of either what I do or what other people do, because this is a holistic network, right? So if you think this might be supportive for you, whether you need something acutely right now, like because you did get a shot or you have gotten sick, someone mentioned they were not feeling well on the call, please reach out. I always do a 30-minute complimentary discovery call. And if you call and you want to be in touch, and we'll see if I'm the right person for you, or if what I do is the right thing for you, then I'm going to give you this bonus. I'll send you the full PDF of my immune strengthening tip. This is just the actual whole PDF is about 3.5 pages long. It's very, very involved about many things you can do. But although I do feel very clearly that homeopathic care is the #1 thing to do, or get acute care for being ill, right? I also feel very strongly about we have to support the material being with good nutrition, things like this, clear food, but we also have to take care of our emotional and our mental wellness. And homeopathy is actually very effective and helpful for this. I have other programs that I do, finding your feminine core, really connecting deeply with your energetic being. And in the kitchen is my blown out program for all the nutritional support, which is really fun. So that's my whole spiel about homeopathy. I didn't get so much into how the remedies are made, but I hope you got the picture of that you are an individual, that a homeopath looks at you individually, what your experience is, that this is an idea of matching for what's similar to what you're experiencing, that we use a very small amount to stimulate and enhance the vital force, our energetic state, and that it's a holistic concept. It's looking at all of you together, right? Mind, body, and spirit. And because it's funny, we were talking about 2002. So that's when I started one of my aspects of training, but I've been doing professionally, I've been in practice for coming on 18 years. And I can say that there's no doubt in my mind, it's an extraordinarily effective system of medicine. All right. I think that leaves still some time for questions. I know I went fast. So if you have questions, please do not hesitate. You can just pop on. You don't have to type them unless you already have. Please ask me whatever might be relevant to you, or maybe confusing of something I said, or you want to know something else. Now's your time. I'm here.
Okay, if anybody wants to say something, you need to unmute because I muted everybody for the presentation.
Yeah, Vivian, please.
Thank you, Janice. That was really wonderful. 2 questions. One, how long does the remedies take to act?
Good question.
And 2, as I mentioned to the group, I started Bach flower remedies. Can you take both?
I love these questions. They're great questions. There's so much learning from the questions. A remedy can act instantaneously. In fact, if it's a good match, if it's similar to what your vital force needs, right? So what you've chosen to take or what the homeopath has suggested is a good match, then the vital force will immediately get a connection to it.
Oh.
Having said that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will immediately make everything better, right? Because we have a lot of different things happening at the same time. We have this energetic state of us, and we have the physical state. Our physical state, remember what I said about energy moves slower in this more solid being. Although we are mostly water, I think our blood is like 85% water and our human form is like 65% water, whatever. So even though we think we're solid, you know, we're very liquid, but it takes time for things to move through.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. So however, there's another piece to how quickly it will move is what's your state of health, right? Remember I asked you at the beginning, what is health? So often, like with young children who their state of health is a little more, let's say, clean, they haven't had as much medication, suppressions, life experiences, things that will kind of move into our energetic sphere, they actually can move very dynamically. It was interesting. I think Pamela used that word earlier, very quickly. So the child can have a raging fever and like take a remedy, and 5-10 minutes later, boom, it drops 3 degrees.
Whoa.
Our human bodies as adults could take a little longer. However, I do see it working very quickly, but we might need to take the remedy more frequently to keep that energy source coming in, to keep supporting. And when there's acute illnesses, like for instance with COVID, we have to take the remedies often, maybe every hour, every 15 minutes even, depending on what the situation is. The second question is, you're using Bach flower remedies. So actually Bach flower remedies, I don't know if you know how they're made, but the flowers are put in water under sunlight. This is how Bach, who actually was discovering that way of releasing energy into the water bath at the same time that many people were experimenting with this, sort of at the middle part of when homeopathy was really exploded. This is like, if you think about humanity and looking at things, it was a big explosion of learning, of understanding things. So Bach actually, his remedies, the water infused energy coming out from the flower, was actually like the first step if you were making a remedy, a homeopathic remedy from, let's say, a plant. We're going to infuse it into the water, and then we're going to take that water and take it through a process called potentization to keep more and more energy coming out, less and less material. So because it's energetic but material, it's fine. We can use all these things together. If you're on some kind of prescription medications, right? Those are material doses. Those are physical things we put into our body to have a response. We can also work energetically because they're different. We have material, we have energy. They all work together simultaneous. physical body, energetic body inside, or, running it. So it's fun. You can do that. You have to be a little thoughtful of how you're combining these things. But yes, it's totally fine. The simple answer is yes, you can do Bach flower remedies. There's a few of them that I recommend that I know of. It's not my wheelhouse of expertise, but I definitely love rescue remedy as an example. Often recommend that.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you.
Was that good? Did that answer the question?
Very good.
Okay, good. Who else? Someone asked me about, what was it about consultation fees and stuff? That's the conversation we have with, you call me when the discovery call, we'll talk about all that. Okay, whoever asked that, I don't know who asked that. Janet, where's Janet? Her picture's not up. Kathy, you wanted me to describe homeopathy. Was this what you were feeling, or are there other questions okay. Were there anything else that you were thinking of or people asked you when you were talking about it?
Janice, I wondered whether there was a way to actually measure objectively the vibration of a human being or the vibration of a particular object.
Yeah, and I love that you asked that, because you are doing energetic work, right? You're so connected. Yeah. Well, there's different things that people have been using over time. There's different kinds of, what is the name of that photography?
Kirlian.
Say it again?
Kirlian.
Yeah. Right. So we know that there are ways to record how far out the energy is, right? The colors and things that we're picking up, all of this. So we have these methods to, I was going to say diagnose, it's not really the right word, to report or record. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. It's interesting. A Geiger counter is used to pick up on radioactivity, right? It's picking up on the frequency of that particular thing. I don't know if we have like a counter for our human energy the same way. There might be, and maybe someone knows it who's in this group. But
I think it's called the SQUID, if I recall. SQUID, which stands for a great big long word for a measuring mechanism that has been developed in recent years and has come out of quantum science.
It's beautiful. And so that I think is phenomenal. The thing is that from a perspective as a homeopath, even if we can get that accurate reading of your energetic frequency, yeah, we're leaving out a piece that's so critical, which is that holistic piece, that individual piece. So that might be your energy, but what about how do you live with that? How do you experience it? What's like the whole holistic experience of being with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that then interface with your daily experience of life? So that's the piece that's really interesting working as a homeopath. Is understanding the energy of a person and also seeing what your strengths or capacities, where can we lean in because it's so there. And I don't know if you can get that. I'm also almost like interpersonal experience from just the reading of your frequency. You can get some cool healing things from it, but I'm just saying that the part of it that that interrelational part of it, I don't think comes in, that I feel is a huge part of the work I do as a homeopath and most of the people I know who are homeopaths. So.
It sounds like you rely a lot on intuition and pulling together a lot of information and then flying in and going, okay, I get it. This is what we need to do.
Yeah. It's interesting. In 2002, when I started homeopathy school, when I was going to school in New York, not the correspondence program, one of my very first teachers said, intuition's great and you want to ground it in the practice because there is a science to homeopathy. It's a very established system of how to come about understanding a remedy. So yes, there are intuitive senses of how you're going to be in that dialogue with someone and what is it you're understanding, but I will always ask the grounding specific questions rather than go on my intuition only. for instance, someone might say to me, well, we'll go back to the headache example. You know how a headache feels. It's there. And I'm like, just tell me more. Point to it. And so I'm getting more and more specific. How does it affect your life? I know how a headache affects my life. I don't know how it affects your life. I'm not going to intuitively guess that. And that's just a simple example. So yes, I use my intuition, but that landing is actually a very, very well-established science and takes years to learn and get good at. So that, yes, on occasion I can intuitively go, okay, do that. But it's really, my expertise is based on years of study and learning and practice.
And also sounds like a great deal of information from your client. That builds to, okay, these are our options.
Yeah. I will say, I forgot to mention this earlier. This is one of my favorite all-time books. That all this information is on my website. It's either my name. You can just go to janicesolomon.com. This book, it's a big, like $11 on Amazon, I think. Beyond Flat Earth Medicine, Tim Dooley. Tim Dooley. It is the greatest quick read to understand homeopathy. And anyway, I just love it. And you can also download the whole thing for free. It's great little book. Okay, I just wanted to mention that because I had it sitting next to me. I'm like, oh,
I had a question.
Great questions. More questions, yeah.
In the chat, I don't know if you can give this without charging us, but what are like just some things that we can take as preventative care for COVID?
Yeah, so that's my big long PDF. So call me, we can chat, and I'd be happy to share that with you, because if I tried to share that tonight, that in and of itself is at least an hour of dialogue. Yeah, but I will say that when I gave the slide about with the different remedies, the ones for sort of acute illnesses, many of those can also be used both preventatively as well. Preventatively it's an interesting word. It's a little charged, because let me think how I want to answer this. Preventative in the sense that, this is what I want to say. Preventative doesn't necessarily mean that you never get sick, but how you're going to handle, whether it's the COVID virus or whatever, how you're going to handle what is influencing you is actually really what it's about. So if you're taking a remedy to help you be in a healthier state and perhaps have a little less susceptibility or sensitivity to something, it doesn't mean that it won't affect you, but you have more of a flow and an ease with your vital force to deal with it. So it's the idea of prevention, meaning that you won't get sick ever, is actually, to me, a misconception about how health and wellness practices are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. I have used, I'm sure I'm going to not pronounce this properly, but Staphysagria.
Staphysagria, yep.
And Pulsatilla at different times in my life, mostly dealing with eye issues.
Right, yeah. So they're both sourced from plants. Remember, I told you that remedies can be sourced from different things. And plant remedies, very interesting. Can I talk a few more minutes? Is it okay? Okay. So we have these different parts of our world, these different kingdoms, plants, minerals, animals, right? Plants are fascinating. When you think about a plant, how does it survive? It has to be very aware of the environment, how much rain there is, how much sunlight there is, when the weather changes. It itself will adapt, because if it can't adapt quickly to the changes in the environment, it will die, right? So you can see some plants close up, the leaves fall off. They're in constant adaptation. Because of that need to do that quickly, we often find remedies that are from plants have that type of energy, can be very helpful in acute or sudden or illnesses, because we need to adapt quicker to whatever's affecting us. So many remedies that are on the acute or first aid, your arnica, your staphylos aureus, your pulsatilla, they're all from plants because the plant energy as a whole is very interactive with the environment, okay? When you look at mineral remedies that come from minerals, you have a little bit more about structure, right? If you think about what mineral silica in a plant gives its structure, right? We have sodium chloride, table salt, because there's a structure to that. It's as a way that it and how it affects us. So remedies that have minerals as sources, and I had a few in the list. There was arsenicum and other things in there. Will create a little bit more of that need in the energy field. Okay, so just this is going back to what you asked me, Cynthia, or you were alluding to about intuition. So I can lean into understanding what might be helpful, like something more plant-like, but then to zero in on it, that's the knowledge. That's how to know how to get there. See what I mean? But you can have a feeling into it.
How many homeopathic remedies are there? Like we learned last month.
Tens of thousands.
Oh, like last month we learned about fog flower remedies, and it's like whatever, 20, 30, whatever we got.
Oh no, homeopathic remedies can be made from anything and everything on the planet, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands. In my home here, I probably have about 1,000 remedies. And for each remedy, what do I have here? I have here Bryonia, a particular plant, Bryonia alba, little white flower, which this plant and this remedy is great for coughs, dry coughs, very good for a lot of the COVID symptoms. So each remedy can be made in many different potencies. So not only do you have the source from one plant, but now you could have 15 different, actually more than that, vibrations of that plant. The number it's amazing. It's ridiculous how many remedies are available.
I have a question about arnica, but let me put me
Who's
on.
asking me this? Oh, Janet? Okay, cool. Yeah, please.
I have a question about arnica. I took arnica when I have oral surgery. I take arnica afterwards, and it helps prevent bruising. But I never knew how much to take. I would take three little pellets every couple of hours, and I
Sure.
didn't kept on doing it, and I didn't. Is there such a thing as too much?
Sure, good question. Yes, you can overtake a remedy. In that kind of acute situation, probably unlikely. I mean, you're not going to take it most likely for 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day for 18 days. So it's probably fine that you took it. So what I recommend people to do with remedies is these little pellets that, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little white pellet in there. Those are little sucrose pellets, little sugar pellets. Homeopathic remedies are more, most of the time, in liquid-based, water-based, because energy moves. If you guys know this book, Messages from Water, well, right? So the way the remedies are made is it's helping the energy move from the solid into the liquid. The Bach flower is the beginning of it's a little bit more of the phytonutrients and stuff are coming into the liquid, but it's also the energy. So the energy of the remedies is held in liquid. It's then dropped onto these little sugar pellets. If you take one pellet and put it into a glass of water, you release the energy back into its natural way of just vibrating. So you can take one pellet, put it in a glass of water, stir it up, and now you have endless numbers of doses of this remedy. So that's just an economical way to know. And then you can just take a teaspoon or 2 or 3 or 4, whenever many times. In an acute thing like after oral surgery or something, you probably want to do it like 3, 4, 5 times the first day. You could just do a teaspoon of that little water dilution. That's great. Other times, if there's a lot of pain and it's taking a long time to resolve, you might take that remedy every 15 minutes for 2 hours. taking remedies for a very, very long time, if you're very sensitive, you can start to pick up on the energy. It's called proving the remedy. You start to be in that energy field all the time, as opposed to just supporting your vital force. It's not the most common thing to happen. So sometimes people get overdone with it. All right.
I just want clarification. You just mentioned to put the pellet in the water. That doesn't dilute it, it doesn't sound like. It sounds like it enhances it. Is that correct? Wow.
Because we're dealing with energy. You think it's a material dose because it's on this little sugar pill, but it's actually the energetic source has been dropped onto that, the liquid has been put onto it. It's just a carrier. These little sugar pellets are just a carrier. That's why it's a good idea not to keep them near your electromagnetic things like your computers and whatnot. Keep them in a place that's a little more neutral from energy. They are energetic remedies.
Just another question. If we have a consultation, just asking, do you provide the remedies? Only because you said we need a higher dosage usually than what's in the store.
Yeah, a potency, right.
So do you just direct us to maybe where we could
Yeah.
get the remedies?
Any of the possibility depends on what it is. And yeah, so truthfully, I know all of you a little bit here, we've connected. If I had a remedy that I know is going to take a couple of weeks to get from a pharmacy, let's say in Scotland or something, and I have it, then I'm okay that, you know, I can send that off to you. Many, many remedies are available like on Amazon, even the higher potencies. But
Okay.
if you're doing more of a constitutional appointment with me, and we need to find something a little bit more specific and unique, sometimes we do have to order it. And I of course, I talk you through all of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I feel like we're probably coming to the close. It's been a long evening. It's already after 8. I mean, please take advantage of 30 minutes. You get me. I can chat, ask me all your questions, see if this is anything to help you. Mental, emotional, physical, it's all there. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Kathy, Pamela. It's nice to see people I know and some new faces. And yeah, everybody feel well, do well, get outside, breathe fresh air, eat good food, take care of yourselves.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Janice.
Beautifully done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, so Kathy, anything else, or are we going to say good night?
Good night. Thank
Bye,
I
you.
guess
baby.
Thank
I
you.
will just add our December meeting, Jenny Stone, Colin McPhillamy, and me talking astrology 2022, and hope to see you all there.